Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Cassandra Terry, your manifesting miracle maker, and today is Focus Friday. We have made it to the end of another work week, and I hope that your week has been wonderful, that it has been productive. And today, on Friday, just like every Friday, our focus is on focus. Focus is on being focused. I see you guys scrolling through from TikTok. Come on in, take a few minutes to get to know me and to see what we talk about each day. On Friday, we are talking about focus and how you can use focus, how you can cultivate focus, expand your ability to focus so that you can build good plans for yourself and reach those goals. And focus is one of those things that the more of it you have, the easier it is for you to live the life of your dreams. Good morning, Bridget. Thank you for joining as always. I appreciate you. So, we are going to get started. I found a really interesting article that I want to share with you guys. And as I mentioned earlier in this week, um, I do a lot of reading and I do a lot of studying, and it helps me to expand my reach. It helps me to do more research and to be more aware of current research and what's out there. And it's my goal to share that with you guys so that you have the opportunity to not just hear it from me, but if you want to, you can dig in and read some of these things for yourself. So I found a great article on focus, and it's actually the guy has his own website. His name's James Clear. And on jamesclear.com, it was the ultimate guide on how to improve focus and concentration. And it was a pretty good read. And so I hope you guys will get a chance to check it out for yourself, and leave me some comments as you read it. You may read it and get something completely different out of it than what I did, which is awesome. That's a place where we can have some additional dialogue. But good article. I highly recommend it. And one thing that I will never do is take somebody else's work as my own. I spend a lot of time on social media. I spend a lot of time reading. And so as I see things and read things, they trigger thoughts in me. There's nothing new under the sun. We may have our own variations on things, but there's some foundation that it comes from somewhere. And whenever I'm aware of what triggered my thought or where that foundation came from, I really like sharing it with you guys so you have that opportunity to see it for yourself. I always have my own little twist and add some things to it, or it may generate a thought that takes me in a completely different direction. But I just like to pay the respect to the people who generated whatever that thought was in me. Or sometimes good morning. Is that Seraphia? Good morning, cousin. It's so good to see you. So I encourage you to do that. I mean, in the workplace, in our personal lives, there's just people take your work for their own and never give it a second thought because everyone's climbing and trying to get where it is that they want to go. We are all standing on the shoulders of somebody. And so when I have the opportunity to give them their due credit, I like it. Even when it's perfect strangers like James Clear. I don't know this from anybody, but I really got a lot out of it. And I love to share it with you. And you guys can go to jamesclear.com and you can read Focus, the ultimate guide on how to improve focus and concentration are so important. Most of you, those of you who follow me quite a bit, know one day last week I wasn't able to show up because my hospital. I have had, and so we've been going back and forth doing tests and things like that, getting underneath exactly what was going on. And everything's coming out really well. We're getting, good news after good news after good news. So hopefully it was just one of those things. And we're going to get to a point to where he can make some slight lifestyle changes and be okay. But it's been really hard for me to focus. My brain is everywhere, even in what it is I want to do in the business. I'll start on something and then I end up someplace else. And when you're like that, what happens is you don't end up getting anything done. Nothing gets accomplished. You may have been really, really busy because you're here, you're there, you're doing all those things, but you're not actually productive. And there is a difference between being busy and being productive. We are all busy. If you It's hard to find somebody who's not busy because of the life that we live, because of our lifestyles, the many hats that we wear. We are going from thing to thing to thing, but are we really being productive? The difference is busy is having a lot of activities going on. Productive is doing the right activities at the right time to achieve your goals. So that's the difference. I'm always busy, but that does not necessarily mean that I'm being productive. And so that's why I like to have these conversations with you guys. I like to be transparent. I'm a list maker. I have to, and I have to have cute pens. Sidebar. I love making my list because that helps me to focus. I've got all these things that I want to do, and all these things that I quote unquote need to do, and a little bit here, a little bit there, and the day is over. It's time to go to bed, and I haven't accomplished anything. I haven't been productive. So we have to evaluate our activities if we really want to get some things done. Evaluate your activities throughout the day and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this moving me towards my goals, or is this just something on my to-do list? Because we all have them, even if they're mental. If we don't take the time to write them down, we still got this list in our head of all these things that we want to get done. But what are the important things to get done today to move you towards the goals that you have set for yourself? That's what you want to ask yourself every morning. Jot those things down and make sure that you get that done before you do anything else. Make that promise with yourself, make that commitment. I'm going to do these one, two, three things, whatever the case may be. And then and only then will I start to deal with some of these other activities that are in the background. And I think I'd wrote in our description for today's call, what are you focused on? Once you know what that is, you should do that and that alone and allow everything else to fall into the background. Now, in real life, we can't just let everything fade forever. But that's what focus is talking about: honing in, lasering in on the things that you actually want to get done and making those the things that receive your resources, your time, and your attention. And everything else is kind of playing in the background and never quite goes away, but it does not get your attention until you've hit the things that you were focused on for the day. In the article, he talked about how it's virtually impossible to focus on two things at once. We can multitask, and please don't fall into the multitask trap. I was convinced for years that it was a superpower, that it was a skill, but I know better now. And I know when I'm multitasking, I'm not giving anything, neither of those items, my undivided attention. So none of them are being done as well as they could be. So he used the example of, he said something along the lines of, you could be, making a pot of spaghetti, reading emails, and watching a movie. So all those things are going on at the same time. You're multitasking, but you're only able to focus on one of them. So either you've gotten caught up in what's going on in the movie, and your spaghetti is starting to boil over, and you don't even realize that it's happening because the movie has your attention for a moment. Something exciting is happening, or something that something's really grabbed you, so you don't even hear for a moment that the water's starting to spill out of the pot and you've got this sizzle going on. Or you're really into what you're cooking and you're paying attention, you're stirring, you're seasoning, you're doing all that, and the movie's playing, but you're not really locked in. You may kind of catch some of the gist of what's going on, but you're not really locked into it and getting it because your focus is on the food. So we are able to be involved in multiple things at a time, but the brain is only designed to focus on one at a time. And when we learn that, we realize just how important our focus is. In his article, he defined focus can only occur when we have said yes to one option and no to all others. Think about that. In other words, elimination is a prerequisite for focus. I really like that because if you think about it, there's I've heard for years, especially from the grandmothers and people like that in my life, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's lots of different ways to get things done. That is absolutely true. But if you're bouncing around all those different options, if you haven't locked in on what's the option for you, then again you're not locked in, you're not giving your focus, and so it takes longer, it's a little bit more haphazard getting what you want accomplished done. So my I'm going to share your Sharonda, I'm going to share your comment in just a minute, um, because I think it's right on task with what we're talking about. But yeah, so focus is locking in on the way that you're going to do something and doing for a period of time, and it may just be an hour. So when I say everything else falls to the background, that means you have carved out some time. You have committed this time. We talked about it with you, Sharonda, going back to school. You're in school, so you're carving out this time that's your precious study time. It may be an hour, 90 minutes, whatever the case may be, but you train your family, you train those around you. Don't call me between the hours of this and this. I'm going to be in my room or in my office, in my study with my book, and this is what I'm doing. So you guys handle, watch TV, do whatever you do for this amount of time, and leave the rest until you've honored the time that you've set aside for what it is that you want to accomplish. Good morning, Annie. I am so glad to see you join me. So, we've got LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok all going at the same time this morning. And I appreciate every one of you guys for joining in. And Any, this may be your first time joining. So on Fridays, it's all about focus. So that's what we're talking about this morning. A great article on focus that I read on jamesclear.com, the ultimate guide on how to focus and how to improve your focus and concentration. So what is focus? Committing to one activity at a time and letting everything else kind of fall to the background during that committed time. Because I think if you hear me wrong, you're like, this lady, what is she thinking? I've got kids, I have a family, I have a job, I have all these things going on. And what you have to do is slice up your calendar as much as you can and decide when you're doing different things. You know your kids' school schedule, you know your work schedule, you know what time you have to get up in the morning and groom and do the things that you need to do to get your day going. Calendar those things so that that's time that you already know is committed time. And then you look at, I've got to have some time just to breathe. I have to have some downtime. I've got to have some of that white space on my calendar where I just relax and allow my brain to recover. That's when good thoughts come to us and we start to think about solutions that we may not have thought about otherwise. So even put your self care on your calendar. Put that time where you're going to recharge your battery on your calendar. And then you look at what's next. What's left? What time do I have left in my day to do other things? Once you determine what time you have left, that's that precious resource. Time is the great equalizer. We all have the same 24 hours in our day. And the difference between people who get a lot of things done is their focus. They know what they're supposed to be doing, what they plan to do at different points in time, and they stick to that. They schedule and they know what it is they're trying to accomplish, and the things that don't move them towards that fall away. They fall away until they've got the time that they need, they've accomplished what they want, and then they can go back and pick up the other things. So focus is, it can only occur when you've said yes to one option and no to all other options. So you guys remember that. That really spoke to me, and I hope it does to you as well. And in business, we call that opportunity cost. So Bridget, if you and your team on, I know a lot of what I'm talking about, you guys look at from the perspective of how it may improve your working relationships and as well as how you guys accomplish things in your business. If you've taken any business classes, opportunity cost is something that you'll learn about. And the opportunity cost is what you're giving up in order to get what it is you're going for. And it's an important part of the calculation. You have to know and have already thought this thing through. I am committed to completing my degree. That was a conversation Shahanda and I had earlier in the week. So she's committed to being back in school, and on top of all the other stuff that she has going on, she's going to complete her degree. There's a cost to that commitment. What are the things that you're going to say no to in order to honor the commitment that you've made with yourself? If you thought that through, I know that from this time to this time every day, I'm not going to be able to give my children the focus that I usually would. If you know that, you can think through it in real time and say this is a cost that I'm going to have to pay. That way you don't get sideswiped by it. That way you don't get pulled into mom guilt and you don't have all this other stuff going on. You've thought about it, you've talked about it as a family, you've determined that the long-term accomplishment is worth the short-term, discomfort or what it is that you're going to temporarily give up to get there. I encourage you to learn about the opportunity cost in whatever it is you're committing to, because it will help you hang on to that commitment. So think about it. If you are going to lose weight, then you're probably going to give up some of your favorite foods. You're probably going to give up some time that you was doing something else to do some exercise, even if it's just a morning walk, whatever the case may be. Think about it so that you already know and you're calculating that into the plan. In order for me to do this, I know I can't have that. Not the way that I had it before. I've thought through that. My brain is prepared for it. My family's prepared for it. We know that it's not permanent. For a short amount of time, I'm giving up something in order to get this goal accomplished. The opportunity cost is important. Calculate it in so that it doesn't sideswipe you and continually throw you off. And that helps you to determine your why or to expand on your why. When you build in those opportunity costs and you know why it is that you're doing what it is that you're doing, you've really looked at this thing from so many different angles that the likelihood of you being thrown off or surprised decreases. You've controlled your environment as much as you can. Stuff is going to happen, life is going to happen, but it's probably going to fall within the realm of the things that you've thought about if you really allow yourself to go into that opportunity cost, and you're saying to yourself, I am willing for a short amount of time, whatever that time is. I'm willing for this season to do without this or to decrease that, so that you know completely what you're committed to. You're not just looking at the end goal in and of itself. You know why you're doing it and you know what you're willing to pay in order to do it. Opportunity cost. Remember that one. So when you do that, it all comes down to just a decision. What decisions are you willing to make? When you've calculated it all, you are telling yourself that things as they are right now, what I'm committing to, outweighs the negative that's going to come along with me not having that time that I used to have. Because when all is said and done, I'm going to accomplish my goal. And so tap into the opportunity cost. The other thing that I talked about a little bit already is the multitasking. That is something that everybody who's watching may not be in the US. But for those of us that are in the US, we have fallen into the multitasking trap for a very, very long time. We've seen it as a skill. I thought it was my superpower. I was so proud that I could do multiple things at once. And at the end of the day, I just had to look at life for what it really was and how it really is, and understand that I am not giving good attention and good focus to anything. So remember that pot of soup that's boiling, or the spaghetti that you're making, the TV's going, your emails dinging, all those things are happening at once, but you only one of them can you focus on at a time. So don't fall into the multitasking trap. The other thing that can trip us up with when it comes to focus is we can get so focused on the end goal that that's all we think about, and it's easy to get discouraged because it can take a while for you to get there. So what you really have to do, and he talks about in the article, is fall in love with the process, right? So if you want to lose 50 pounds, That's your goal. That's the end goal. That's going to happen a pound or two at a time over a period of time. So if you're not falling in love with the process of eating better, of taking care of yourself, of getting some those endorphins going with some little some exercise, fall in love with that process, and then before you know it, you're right there at your goal. Sharonda, you can't be so focused on the day that you walk across that stage that that's all you think about. You've got to fall in love with education again. Fall in love with learning and gaining new knowledge and get excited about the different courses and things that you're going to have the opportunity to take. It can't be, oh my God, I've got to pull together another schedule. I've got to go buy these books. The attitude matters. If you're looking at the things that you want as I have to do this, I have to do that, then you're coming from a place of negativity and you're shutting yourself down before you really get going, and you won't have the opportunity to enjoy the process. So your language matters, how you're thinking about it matters. So instead of saying I have to do this, I have to do that, you get to do it. You get to grab new books each semester and dig into some new courses and learn some new things. You get to show your children what it's like to be committed and work at a goal no matter how old you are. There's you've got a son in school and you're in school. He must be so inspired, just like you said, he's inspiring you. So you think about what you're getting out of the opportunity versus what it is that you have to do. Fall in love with the process, and it's all going to come so much easier. So, Focus Friday, that's what we've been talking about all day today, all morning. So, just a couple of ways on how can I focus. For me, it's lists. I have to write it down because I know as my day is going up, going on, things are going to just divert my attention. So I can always come back to my list and go, okay, what is the thing? Like you guys can't see it because of the lights, but on my list, I have about 10 items, but I've circled for today 3. Those are the 3 things that I'm focused on today, and the other 7 get zero attention until those 3 are done. And Warren Buffett calls this his 2 list method. When he's mentoring and coaching people or talking to them about how to accomplish things, he will have you write a list of 25 things that you'd like to make happen, 25 things that you'd like to accomplish. And then once you've got that list, then he tells you to go and circle the top 5. And then you have to create 2 lists. You've got the list of your top 5, and then you've got the other 20. The top 5 list is the only thing that gets any attention until they're all done. Once you've done those 5 things, you go back to your list of 20. You circle your next 5. That becomes your new list. And you do it 5 at a time until the list is gone. Now, one of the things that they didn't say that I suggest, especially if you've got a list that long, when you come back to the list, you do need to assess it because you created that list of 25 at some point in time. Has anything changed? Have your priorities changed? Is something that's on that list not as important as it used to be? Maybe something else has cropped up and it needs to go higher on the list than, it needs to be added to the list and something else may fall off. So I don't want us to be robotic about it and not be intentional. I believe we should be intentional in all that we do. So the first thing that you want to do is work on your 5. Your 5 is done. You go back to the list. You have 20 items remaining. Assess that list. Is this still a good list? Are these the next 20 things that I want to get accomplished? And then you take those 5, move it over, and you keep doing that until you've accomplished everything that you set out to accomplish. All he's talking about there is focus and intentionality. You're being intentional about how you're spending your time and your resources, and you're focused on the most important items. Then once you got that list of 5, now the Cassandra version of it comes in. The article doesn't go this far, but once you got that list of 5, what's the most important thing on that list? Because we're not going to do 5 things at a time. Prioritize that list 1 through 5 and do the same thing. Work it in the order of what's most important. And once you've got number 1, you've got to break it down. How do I get from where I am right now to getting this thing accomplished? What are the activities that I need to do each day in order to be successful with this one thing, this hottest thing on my list? And that's how you take something from a goal to an actual plan, because until you have a plan around it, until you've got committed activities and the deadline that you're working against, you're just daydreaming. So you may have a list, but if you don't have your how to's for the things that are on your list, it'll be a list that'll sit there for a very, very long time. So make your list, prioritize the top 5, what's the number one thing on the list, and then create your activities in order to get there. I've got a planner, not a planner, but a workbook, a goal setting workbook that I created some time ago. If anybody's interested in it, it is super inexpensive. I think it's maybe $12, something like that. um, but it's probably about 100 pages or so, and it starts out talking about goal setting, talking about SMART goals, and what are the elements of a good goal. And then it gives you space to write the big goals, what I would like to accomplish this year. And then you break that down to what you're going to do against that goal each quarter of the month. What am I going to accomplish in those 3 months? And then you break down the monthly goals into your weekly goals so that you have a real plan, an actionable plan that you can work on every single day to move you towards the things that you say you really want. That's how you get focused. That's how you accomplish your goals. So if anybody's interested in that, I'm not a big salesperson, but if you're interested in it, DM me or drop a comment in this live, and I will be sure and get the link to you. Otherwise, make your list, prioritize your list, and then put some goals in place, some actions in place to accomplish what it is that you have at the top of that list. One goal at a time, and you will get there. So that is it, guys, for today. I am Cassandra Terry, your manifesting miracle maker. Thank you for joining me on Focus Friday. Let me see who's here. I know, Sharonda, I've spoken to you a little bit already. Kimberly, thanks for joining. Annie, I'm so glad to see you here. I see Karen. Good morning. Good morning, Keisha at the Wifey Lounge. Guys, if y'all have not heard about the Wifey Lounge, if you are a wife, and we all have our unique struggles, and we all need to be celebrated. So when we have the opportunity to be around people who are experiencing in their own way some of the same things that we are experiencing, you've got a built-in support system. So wives, check out the Wifey Lounge. See what Keisha's talking about. She brings great topics and guests sometimes onto her podcast, and just talking about the unique experience and all that it is to be a wife, so that we can do that just like everything else that we do with excellence. Good morning, Karen. Thank you for joining. Who else is here? I don't want to miss anybody. Life with Mandy. Good morning, Mandy. Thanks for coming again. It's good to see you. And I've seen quite a few people come and go on TikTok. Thank you guys as well. If you're catching this live, thank you so much. If you see this later, hashtag replay, leave your thoughts and your comments, and um, I will certainly respond just as quickly as I can, because I learn from you just like you guys learn from me. This is a symbiotic relationship. We are both getting something out of this experience. At least that's what I hope. So if there's something that you guys are wanting to hear more about, I am open to your suggestions and your ideas. But remember, every Monday I'm on at 7 a.m. and we talk about mindset. On Tuesdays, we talk about transformation. On Wednesdays, it's Wake Up Wednesday. We talk about being intentional. On Thursdays, we talk about gratitude. It's Thankful Thursdays. And Fridays, we talk about focus. And that's how the week goes. Every once in a while, I jump in with something else, but I try to focus each day on those topics, because those are the skills, the things that we can enhance inside of ourselves that will help us get out of our way and move towards the life that we desire, which is what I hope for myself and for each of you. So you guys have a wonderful Friday. Be focused, be intentional, and be kind. We all need it. The world is tough. So smile at somebody who looks angry. That smile may be the very thing that's going to enhance and enlighten their day. It may be the only one they see that day. So be the light. Give what you would like to receive, and the world, one person, one action at a time, will be a better place for all of us. So thank you guys for joining in, and I will see you again on Monday when we will talk about mindset. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.